Is it possible that Arch Manning just isn't as good as we thought he was?
Going straight to the top. Just put the sec on the clock. I am Rihanna's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Mike here, Sports of the Real Podcast, coming at you once again. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Don't forget to check out the website, sportsofthereal.tv. If for whatever reason you can't access YouTube, you can get find the episodes there and other resources as well. Check out the website, sportsofthereal.tv. Appreciate you guys joining me. As always, spending a few minutes talking sports. So it's football season. I want to talk about football, but the NBA kind of crept up on me the last couple of weeks. Nothing on the court, obviously, but a couple of topics off the court that I wanted to touch on real quick before I spend the rest of the time on football. So first of all, first up, so Adam Silver's been catching a lot of flack. And y'all know me, if you've watched this podcast for any period of time, like I have no problem, telling Adam Silver, he's not doing a great job in certain respects, okay? Certain aspects, he's not up to par, right? He's not meeting my standards, right? Maybe I expect David Stern, I don't know. I've talked about the fact that Adam Silver is kind of letting the players run the show a little bit too much. While I like the players having a bit more freedom, there's some things that, he allows, that, kind of gets out of hand, or, he's been kind of too lenient in terms of, the offensive game, allowing the offenses to be more freely, there's no physical contact, there's no defense. I've talked about all that stuff. And I've also said that I think Adam Silver is a pretty smart cat, right? So I give him credit where it's due, but I also spent a fair bit amount of time telling Adam Silver he's kind of sus, in different areas. So it came up last week during a press conference, NBA press conference, and Adam Silver was asked a question about the cost of watching NBA games, which continues to go up, and the price of everything has gone up. But he was specifically asked about the fact that how the hell are fans supposed to keep up with the NBA and watch the NBA, especially like if you don't have the cash like that to pay for Amazon and, Peacock and like all these different streaming services. ESPN, now has their own streaming service, like how are you supposed to keep up with all YouTube? Like how are you supposed to keep up with all that? And Adam Silver pretty much provided a pretty lengthy response, but as part of that response, he said the NBA is very much a highlights league, right? So he commented saying, he recognizes the price is going up, and different carriers, streaming services charging different things. So to watch all the games that you want, the NBA app, like that stuff ain't free. It's going to cost a lot as a fan if you want to watch all the games, right? Obviously, no one can really watch all the games unless, you're working in the business, which, your company is probably going to pay for you to watch those games, I assume, right? Unless you're somebody like me, then you got to pay for yourself if you want to. But obviously, most people ain't trying to watch all the games anyway. But what if you don't have Amazon and you're trying to watch some primetime game? You just can't cut over to TNT no more. So a reporter asked that question, and he said, yeah, he admitted that, yeah, the price of the brick is going up. But then he makes a comment that the NBA, for those who can't afford the price point for having these different services, streaming services, for those who can't afford all these different payment plans, subscriptions, the NBA is pretty much, a highlights league where you can catch the highlights on Instagram and YouTube and these different places for free. And that, of course, is making the rounds because old heads like me and, people who love basketball everywhere are like, look, man, you shouldn't be telling fans to just watch highlights, which we already know that's what fans do anyway. This younger crowd ain't watching 48 minutes anyway. So Adam Silver ain't got to worry about it because the younger crowd, they're watching highlights anyway. You ain't got to tell them to watch highlights, Adam Silver. So I know the old heads are mad. Basketball purists and basketball lovers are mad that the commissioner of the NBA is telling people, hey, man, don't worry about paying for, Amazon and, Peacock and all these different services. Just go watch the highlights on YouTube for free. And while it sounds bad, and if you watch his whole comment, his whole response, it's actually a very thoughtful response and saying, hey, man, look, prices are going up. We understand. He actually makes it a point to say towards the end of his comment that, any service, who tried to, knock heads off essentially, right, with their pricing, he was like, he wasn't having. So I think he understands, two things can be true. One, it would be nice for the NBA to be free and more accessible and things like that. But two, we live in a world where, to get broader reach and, just the way business is nowadays, right? Like people aren't just turning on their TV and tuning into ABC and NBC. Like, they're going online, they're seeing what channels the game. Like people are used to asking Google, like what, channel or where is this game being, shown on. People are used to that. So while I want to, be down on Adam Silver, I have no problem taking shots at Adam Silver. But in this case, I feel like, old heads like myself, we've kind of gone overboard in this and that. He's right. The NBA is very much a highlights league because the modern NBA fan is a highlights fan. The modern NBA fan could give 2 cents about watching 48 minutes of basketball. They don't care about the details. They don't care about executing plays, man. They care about step back threes and poster dunks. They don't care about the IQ of basketball anymore. The modern NBA fan, for the most part, is a highlights fan. As a result, Adam Silver is right by saying, hey, man, here are your highlights. If you want to watch them, go watch them for free. And if you really care about watching the game, like pay premium prices to watch the game. Like me, myself, I want to watch the games and I don't know if I want to pay Amazon. I already have Amazon and Peacock, so it's not going to be a price increase for me. But damn, paying for League Pass? On top of that, it's tough. So I can see that, but old heads, basketball purists, relax. He has a point, and I think he understands both sides, right? He's not like, unlike the NFL, who's like, F it, y'all finna pay $500. I don't give a damn. Roger Goodell and NFL owners don't care. Robert Kraft has said he doesn't want to cater to people who can't afford the product, basically. You're going to pay $500 or whatever it is now to watch the NFL on YouTube, NFL Sunday Ticket. NFL could care less. Roger Goodell ain't gonna be nice and say, well, out of you could have a package to just watch your team, maybe it's no. You're gonna pay whatever it costs to watch the NFL Sunday Ticket. And that's that. Whereas Adam Silver's like, I understand there are some folks, who are concerned. So here are some options, yada, yada, yada. He even said in his comments, you can, you can watch, you get a antenna, catch out of whatever it is, right? Catch more games, this and that, right? There's options essentially he was presenting to people who are concerned. So I, in this instance, support the commissioner of the NBA. He has a point, right? Cost of things is going up. People are used to different streaming services for everything. Like some people have Hulu and Disney Plus and Netflix. And people are used to a million services. So this generation, that's not a problem. And also, these dudes ain't trying to watch 48 minutes of basketball anyway. So highlights is exactly what they need. So I'm going to ride with you on this one, Adam. But the next topic is a little bit worse, if I could. A little bit worse, if I could use that term, all right? Have y'all been keeping up with this Kawhi Leonard joint, this story? This thing is wild, man. Listen, if you ain't been keeping up, so here's a quick Cliff's Notes version, all right? Cliff's Notes version of the Kawhi. So there's this company called Aspiration. They're supposed to be like this socially conscious, bank or whatever it is, right? Financial institution, and they went bankrupt. But here's the thing: outside of Kawhi Leonard, like their co-founder pled guilty to wire fraud last month. So they gave Kawhi Leonard $28 million, a $28 million contract, and an additional $20 million in stock options for promotional services that he never performed, nor attempted by any record. Basically, no show 48 mil. Goodness gracious. Let me get some of that. But they received $50 million investment from Steve Ballmer, Clippers owner. 48 mil to Kawhi for doing nothing. 50 mil from Steve Ballmer. Of course, Steve Ballmer is saying, hell no, we won't go. I ain't do all that. Come on, son. Paper trails there. And then they received a $2 million payment from the Clippers minority owner, Dennis Wong, suspiciously after a $1.75 million payment to Kawhi Leonard was late. Come on, man. This was reported by Pablo Torre, one of the good guys in media. I follow Pablo, his podcast and everything. So Steve Ballmer is like, no. Mark Cuban is coming to the defense of Steve Ballmer, saying Steve Ballmer wouldn't be that stupid. And come on, man. Like, come on, man. Like, what? First of all, why would Pablo make this kind of stuff? And the timing of these payments, these things, the amount is not a coinkydink, bro. We could see right through it. So now the league has some questions to answer. What do you do? Because this was all done for the Clippers to circumvent the salary cap. So Kawhi was getting paid under the table to circumvent the salary cap. And so what does Adam Silver do now? How do you step to the plate David Stern style and say, hey, man, this evidence is like damning. Kawhi, you get suspended X number of games. Steve Ballmer, this and that, fine, even though, he's a super out his booty, rich kind of guy. It won't even matter the fine he gets. It's still pennies to him. Will Adam Silver take the stance, the David Stern type stance, and fine and suspend and do all this? Or will he just say, you know what, sweep it under the rug or give him a slap on the wrist? I don't know, man. I don't know. But the truth is, this stuff is like, it's on record, right? You can't deny it. You can't say, well, like this stuff is recorded. And if they don't want to go to court, because then it'll truly come out and be nasty. So here's my take. Clippers did all that, paying Kawhi under the table, all that for Kawhi, who, in my opinion, has not proven to be worth it. Yes, Kawhi Leonard is still one of the best NBA players when he plays. But you know what? He doesn't play much. Matter of fact, since he's been with the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard's only played like 58% of the games, regular season games. He's hurt all the time. And sometimes he doesn't look like he really cares, although, that's just his facial expression, that's just his personality. 58% of regular season game played with the Clippers by Kawhi Leonard. I don't think that's worth all that money that he's gotten. I don't think that's worth the money under the table. Not only that, he asked to get PG, and in return, they had to give up Shea, who's now leading the Oklahoma City Thunder to a championship. So this is possibly the worst NBA trade in history, if you ask me. He's coming off a championship. Cool. Let's go get Kawhi. He just led the Toronto Raptors to a championship after dealing with the Spurs, injury, blah, 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 leaving there, going to Toronto, win the chip. Right off the chip, let's snag him up. We think the Clippers are about to have a nice team out there. He's always hurt. PG's always hurt, and things never got going. On top of that, you're about to be in trouble, which may turn into legal trouble. So of all the bad trades in NBA history, this one might take the cake. Not because the player himself is bad, Kawhi is nice. He's a dog still when he plays. But he hardly plays. And now you're about to get in trouble for paying people under the table. Damn. Damn. This is bad. This is really bad, a bad look. And from what Shams, I know Shams, who reports on the NBA, took Warriors spot at ESPN. Shams is saying, like, this stuff is common practice. Shams is like, it just hasn't come out yet. So now the NBA has a problem. Right? Adam Silver. It's come to light about Kawhi Leonard. But according to Shams, he probably shouldn't have said this out loud. He says this stuff happens all the time. Whoa. So people, and listen, man, I'm not naive. I'm not an idiot. Under the table deals happen all the time. But you don't want to talk about it, all right? Whether it's NBA, NFL, business, corporate, whatever it is, right? Under the table deals happen all the time. People get back paid all the time, like, kickbacks all the time. It happens, all right? It happens. We're not naive. We're not idiots. We know it happens. But we can't let it come to light. So Pablo Torre, should have never found out about this. You're too good of a damn reporter, Pablo. Pablo Torre should have never found out about this. And Shams can't be up on ESPN talking about, yeah, this kind of stuff kind of happens regularly. Are you kidding? Teams kind of cheat the system regularly. Like that happens all the time. What? That's crazy to me. I don't know if Adam Silver needs to check in with Shams, like, yo, what the hell you doing, man? Keep family business in the family, bro. What are you doing? You ain't get promoted to Woj spot to put our business out like that. So anyway, man, that's crazy to me. This whole thing with Kawhi Leonard is like, after all that, he proved to not be worth it. $50 million, no show, on top of his fat guaranteed contract. $50 million to do nothing. I'd like a piece of that. That's all I gotta say. All right, so that's basketball. That's NBA. NBA snuck up on the headlines during football season. It's usually the other way around. It's usually the NFL taking the NBA's headlines during basketball season. NBA said, look, we're going to pay y'all back, all right? Because NBA likes drama anyway. NBA off-court drama, always steals the show anyway. So let's make some headlines during football season when football season is just getting started. But we'll switch to football now. And let's do college first, all right? I don't want to be an alarmist. I don't want to come off as a hater. Is it possible that Arch Manning just isn't as good as we thought he was, or as the media hyped him up to be? They hyped him up to be, the Heisman favorite, even though he had really not done much, not played much, last season. But they hyped him up to be the Heisman favorite. Texas was the number 1 ranked team coming out of preseason. And it's like, oh, wow. Maybe he's not that good. Maybe he's not as good as we thought. It's possible that he's just not that good. Again, it's early. I said it before. I'll say it again. It's early. He's getting first real pressure now, with the media, on him. Cats like me talking about him. The fans in the stadium are expecting some stuff. Like, he got booed on Saturday against UTEP. Against UTEP, he went 11 for 25, barely had 100 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick. He did score 2 running touchdowns, but, we don't pay you to run touchdowns. We pay you to throw passes like your uncles. At one point against UTEP, bro had 10 consecutive incompletions. That's crazy. Future Heisman Trophy winner? He ain't winning the Heisman no more. Like, that's gone. All right? We could cancel that show. Arch Manning's not winning the Heisman no more. At this point, we just want to know, is he a starting caliber college quarterback? right? We know he was overhyped for damn sure. We know Arch Manning was overhyped for sure. Now we're asking, is he actually good? Can he actually play? Can he actually be a starting quarterback in college? And you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Jimmy Clausen hype. Y'all remember Jimmy Clausen? For those who aren't old enough, look up Jimmy Clausen. And he's made the news recently because Cam has talked about how Jimmy Clausen tried to get him for a meal to switch jerseys with him, to give him jersey number 2 because Cam wore number 2 at Auburn. He wanted to keep number 2 in the NFL. Jimmy Clausen and his agent was like, no, give us a meal. And Cam was like, no, I'm good. Cam switched to 1. The rest is history. He's Superman. But Jimmy Clausen was hyped up. I remember, bro, like Jimmy Clausen was like, since like middle school, Jimmy Clausen was hyped up. And in high school, like his whole prep career, he had a perfect prep career. Dude went 42-0 as a prep player, as a starting quarterback. Jimmy Clausen hype was legit the most, like rolled up to his announcement or whatever in like a limo. I think it was a Hummer, stretch Hummer. Like, bro, and he soaked it all in. His brothers were quarterbacks in college, so he was a quarterback, like once in a decade type of quarterback, according to the hype back then. Mel Kiper Jr. said he would quit, he would retire if Jimmy Clausen wasn't successful in the NFL. And he did not retire. So for all you dudes who make stupid comments on Twitter and social media talking about, I'm going to get this and that tattoo if so and so and such happens, it's okay to break your promise, bro, because the biggest talking head on NFL draft day pretty much said, if Jimmy Clausen is not nice in the NFL, I'm out. That's what Mel Kiper said. And he wasn't out, even though Jimmy Clausen was horrible. Jimmy Clausen went 1-9 as a rookie and never played for the Panthers again. Lasted like 5 years in the league, 6. If you were around back then, you remember the hype around Jimmy. He was supposed to be that dude. And it turns out he wasn't. And really, as I think about it, like the media, sports media hype people up all the time, right? Nowadays, people, and the kids probably won't understand, like nowadays, people get hype, kids get hype, and you could immediately see their highlights, on the internet, and okay, is he really nice, or is he, like back then, it's possible that you didn't really see highlights like that. You didn't know, how well this person really played. Was it a competition? You didn't really know. So when someone was hyped back then, like you just had to take people's word for it. Like this guy was truly generational. Like I remember somebody like, and ESPN 30 for 30 had a piece on this. Like Felipe Lopez, when I was growing up, like middle school, like I remember the hype around Felipe Lopez. High school, like this cat was the guy. He was Dominican, and I remember Dominican cats, back at the crib back in Orlando, Dominican cats wearing like Felipe Lopez jerseys, high school. I think it was high school jersey or something like that, like number 13. First of all, how they got Felipe Lopez high school jersey? But Felipe Lopez was hyped, and turns out he goes to St. John's. He doesn't really do all that great as expected. And, like he doesn't pan out to be what he was hyped. Felipe Lopez had some serious hype. Jimmy Clausen had crazy hype for college football. Felipe Lopez had crazy hype coming out for basketball. And when you think about it, these guys that are crazy hyped up, most of them don't end up doing anything. The only person who's actually lived up to the crazy hype, like being on the front cover of Sports Illustrated in high school and stuff like that, is Braun. I can't really think of anybody else who's actually lived up to that level of hype. And LeBron has exceeded expectations. Everybody else really has been like either, mid or just a flat out failure. And Arch Manning was supposed to be it, man. Like listen, I'm no quarterbacking expert, but I know what I see. 10 straight incomplete passes. Like if you watch some of this stuff, man, like he threw a pick that was like I don't think I would throw that pick. I don't think I would throw the interception he threw against UTEP. I don't think I would have thrown that. Like this is, and the fans had reasons to boo him. He got booed, and hopefully he learns from this and he grows and he becomes, who we expect. Because I like watching greatness. I don't like being a hater. I want to see if he can become better than his uncles. But right now, Arch Manning looks like he's not just a blue chip prospect anymore. He's not Heisman favorite anymore. He's not, that guy anymore. Like, we're just trying to figure out, can he actually be a starting quarterback in college football? That's a precipitous drop in expectations. That's crazy. I wasn't expecting to say that after week 3, but that's crazy. And now Texas, people are wondering, can Texas live up to SEC and top 5 and like all this stuff? We don't know. We'll wait and see, but we don't know. By the way, Jimmy Clausen was called the kid with the golden arm. Like, I don't even remember some of this stuff when I researched it. He was called the kid with the golden arm. He was declared to be like a generational, once in a decade type talent. He was so hyped and he fell into it. He played up to it. And it never worked out. Hopefully it works out better for Arch than it did for Jimmy Clausen. All right, let's talk some NFL. All right, quick hits here, quick hits. My Dolphins suck. All right, the Dolphins lose again. Tua with a bad turnover as they're trying to put together a game-winning drive against the Patriots. He throws the game away. I already talked about this. I don't know if I can keep talking about this, man. We're just not good. My NFL season is a wrap. It's over. We're not coming back. If you can't beat the Patriots, and it's not that the Patriots, are a bummy team because, like I said, the Patriots, they're building right now, right? They got a young quarterback. They're just trying to figure out if Drake May can play. So we shouldn't have lost to the Patriots as a veteran team, veteran quarterback, veteran receivers, but we can't block. We can't really run the ball, and our defense sucks. So that's a recipe for disaster. The Dolphins are bad. They're going to be bad. I already said it. I think it might be Mike McDaniel's last season. Tua's probably going to end up getting hurt because our O-line can't block. So we suck. Put that to bed. Jake Browning replaces Joe Burrow. That's a headline news. Joe Burrow's toe is hurt, and Joe is out for several weeks, maybe months, couple months. Here's the thing, though. Every time I see Jake Browning in the Bengals, he looks really good. And it has me think, I don't want to start no controversy. That's not my style. Is Joe Burrow a system quarterback, though? Because every time I watch Jake Browning with the Bengals, he looks really, really good. And yesterday, he looked really, really good against the Jaguars. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm being facetious a little bit. But listen. Watch Jake Browning and see how well he plays. And you're like, wait a minute. They got the talent at wide receiver because Jamar is unguardable. T. Higgins is nice. Like, offensive. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to start nothing up. I'm just saying, is Joe a system QB? Or should Jake Browning be a starter in the NFL because every time he plays, he looks good? But then he ended up like Kevin Kolb did, and taking over from McNabb, and then he goes elsewhere, gets paid a lot of money, and then he ends up being hot garbage. Anyway, so that's big-time news right there. Big-time news. Joe Burrow's out for several weeks, months, and hopefully Jake Browning can keep balling out, or else, as a Bengals fan, your season might be done. Colts win again at the last second, missed field goal. But is Daniel Jones a starting quarterback in the NFL now? I'm not ready to apologize yet. Okay, I'm not ready to apologize to Daniel Jones. But damn it, that's 2 weeks now where he looks like an NFL starting quarterback, and I don't want to have to apologize to Daniel Jones. Is it just the offensive play calling is better? Is he protected better? I don't know. But he looks like he belongs now. That's 2 straight weeks of really good games. I don't think you can go back to his 5 years or whatever it was with the Giants and go back and find 2 straight games of Daniel Jones playing well. Not this well. So now Daniel Jones looked like a competent starting quarterback. And you're wondering, well, why couldn't Dable get that out of him? Or we wait till he crashes back down to earth if you're a hater. All right? So that's the question for week 2 going into week 3. Is Daniel Jones a starting QB in the NFL? We'll move on. We'll leave that there and move on. The Chiefs are 0-2. Patrick Mahomes has lost 3 straight games if you count back to the Super Bowl, first time in his NFL career. And they just look, again, I've said it last couple of weeks, or I said it last week, they don't look like they really have talent, and they don't. And they got away with it last couple of years after they traded Tyreek. But, man, Kelsey looks old. They don't look like they have any receivers who can get really open. And it's really like Patrick Mahomes has to make a great play every drive for them to like sustain drives and score. He has to like break for a run, throw off-platform passes. Like Patrick Mahomes can't just have a regular drive like, any other QB for the Chiefs to score. He has to be extraordinary. And I know they're paying him like he's extraordinary, but it's unfair to ask one guy in football. In basketball, yeah. But in football, where you can get your brains beat in, like you can't ask your quarterback to sit there and do that all game, every drive, or else you're not moving the ball. So they actually hung in there with the Eagles on Sunday, but you could tell they just don't have it. They just don't. They don't have the talent. And people are going to say, well, that's what you get when you pay Patrick Mahomes so much money. Yeah, but can he get a little bit of help? A little bit? And I've been the guy for so long who's been saying, hey, man, Pat, he has a lot of help when he had Kelsey and he had the Cheetah and, Andy Reid calling plays. He had the chips stacked in his favor. But not anymore. So now Pat is earning his paycheck. And it's crazy to watch. Like 0-2, I don't know. I picked them to win the division still. I picked them as a top dog in the division beginning of the year. Whew, I don't know. Looking real sus. All right, couple more topics. The Lions smashed the Bears. And the Lions did whatever they wanted after the Packers shut them out, which tells us how great the Packers are. Right? The Packers are legit. They won again, week 2. They shut down the Commanders. That defense is legit. Micah Parsons, that boy can go. And Jerry Jones, obviously, I'll say it again, Jerry Jones should have paid Micah Parsons. So the Packers are really good. And they're really good because they shut down the Lions, who turned around and smashed the Bears. But that's not the biggest story. All right, we know the Lions had a good offense. They'll be good. The story here is, again, Caleb Williams doesn't look that great. He didn't look that great week 1. He doesn't look that great week 2. And once again, people call me haters. People on social media call me all types of names, whatever they wanted to call me. I don't know football. I was never a big fan of Caleb Williams in college. First of all, he was playing in a Pac-12 with no defense. But secondly, he was just a highlight guy. Every time you watched him play, he was spinneroonies and throwing off his back foot, throwing while falling down. And people online praise him for doing crazy stuff that I view as a longtime football fan and a longtime NFL watcher, that I knew that style wasn't going to work in the NFL. So now Caleb Williams struggles to make regular throws, basic throws in the NFL that you watch like somebody like Jaden Daniels makes all the time, regularly. So the guy who was a supposed number one pick doesn't look like that generational. People talk about Jimmy Clausen. People were calling Caleb Williams generational. And why his arm talent looked real generational because he was making crazy plays in college, he doesn't look that generational. In the NFL, he looks rather average, most times below average, because he never really makes the simple right in front of you play. The spectacular plays he made at USC against no defense, they're not going to work on the NFL. So when he needs to work on script, on schedule, he struggles. He struggles. And it may be boring, but Tom Brady became a Hall of Famer, the best QB ever, because he made the boring, simple play routine. And he made it look easy. And it's not easy. And Caleb Williams is proving that it's not easy to sit there and throw the ball 25 times a game, the simple hitch out, 7 routes, 9 routes, open, like stick routes. Like it's not as easy to do that stuff regularly. And he misses them. And he misses, according to the NFL experts who look at tape and do that stuff, who know better than me, somebody like Kurt Warner, who I trust his insight, say, hey man, he misses a lot of stuff. He misses a lot of basic stuff. So it's not just me, no-name guy, talking about Caleb Williams. It's the experts who are looking at the tape who are like, he misses a lot of stuff. Even when he completes certain passes, Troy Aikman's talking about, he missed, some open stuff that was even more open than the passes he completed. It's not just me. But I told you so. Again, I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to knock a guy. It's only his year 2. Things can change. Obviously, things can change. But I remember watching at USC thinking, sure, he's hyped. He's nice. But ain't no way you're doing that in the pros. You got to be, in the pros, you got to be like militant. 1, 2, 3, ball out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ball out. On target, on time. And if you can't do that, you're not a starter. So we'll see if he can start doing that. Last thing before I get up out of here, the Cowboys have 0 defense. They're probably going to win games with their offense, but their defense sucks. All right? They allowed Russell Wilson and the Giants to basically go up and down the field anytime they wanted. Russell Wilson was looking like Seattle 2013 version of Russell Wilson, throwing bombs all over the place. But the Cowboys defense is terrible. No rush. Corners getting burnt all day. And I see that continue. So now Jerry Jones, is not going to take the blame, but he should, because instead of enhancing his defense and adding to it, he lets go of his best pass rusher. DeMarcus Lawrence is gone. They have nobody to rush the quarterback. They're going to struggle. But I do want to apologize to Russell Wilson, because I thought, he was on his lax legs. And he is, but clearly he still got something left in him. Hey, if you need somebody to throw a bomb, Russell Wilson is your man. All right? He can still throw a deep bomb, and it's beautiful. But apologies to Russ, because you can still hoop a little bit. You know what I mean? You can still play a little bit. You're not totally done yet. So he's probably going to, keep his job for the rest of the year. The Giants fans are probably not going to like the ups and downs that come with Russ being the quarterback of your team, but it is what it is. So apologies to Russell Wilson. Cowboys, though, have 0 defense. All right, so that was the headlines for the NFL this week. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Have a great week. I'm going to catch you guys next time. As always, Mike, Sports in the Real. Y'all be good. Peace.
I'm going straight to the top. Just put the sec on the clock. I am Rihanna's a shot. I'm going straight to the top.